Are you having a frustrating day managing your diabetes? I know what that's like. Stay tuned. I'm going to share some things that you may not consider, especially if you're newly diagnosed. There can be days where you're eating the exact same foods, giving yourself the exact same insulin, your sleep, your work, your exercise cycles, everything's the same. And what? Surprise, things are out of whack, going a little stir crazy. Stay tuned. I'm going to share with you some of the things to consider, especially if you're newly diagnosed, that you may not know. First things first, I'm going to state the obvious. Diabetes is an autoimmune disease. And if it were easy to manage, science could regulate it precisely. Remember, diabetes is baffling. You can do everything correctly. And you know what? You're just going to have a day where you're going to have to accept that you did everything right and diabetes had the last word. You're going to have to find a way to regulate your diabetes even when you're doing everything correctly. It's important to remember that in the beginning, often you will be in the honeymoon stage and you'll need less insulin. And then maybe some weeks will go by, and if you're lucky, maybe some months, and all of a sudden you're going to need more insulin. This does not mean that you've become sicker. All that it means is that diabetes made a natural progression. It's normal to move away from the honeymoon stage at some point, and you will have more insulin requirements. Make sure you consult your doctor to find out what adjustments need to be made. Again, diabetes 101. If you have unusually high blood sugars, don't forget to look at the obvious. Check your site. Maybe your site's coming out. Maybe it needs to be more secure. Maybe something's going on with your sensor. And sometimes this is easy to forget. Your insulin. Make sure your insulin is fresh, that it hasn't expired. An open vial of insulin lasts 28 days. Whether it's in the refrigerator or left out, it must be at room temperature. After that, you need to get rid of it and open a fresh new bottle. So make sure if you're out of whack with your blood sugars that you have fresh insulin and that your sites and all of your medical supplies are in good working order. It's important not to guess your food portions. It's impossible to know what a cup of rice looks like on your plate. It's impossible to know what a cup of pasta looks on your plate. Maybe at 10 years or 5 years, you'll have a better eyeball. But in the beginning, it's very important. Measure a cup of rice, measure a cup of pasta, take your time, read your food labels, measure your food, even weigh your food. Don't guess, be accurate. It will make your life so much easier. So everyone likes to eat out. We certainly do. Pay attention if for some reason after you go out and you always have chicken parm, and for some reason this particular restaurant, every time you have chicken parm, your numbers are like 350, 400. Keep that in mind. Often in restaurants, there's hidden things like sugar and sauces, or sauces in general, or foods in general. We're not preparing them, and we really don't know exactly how many carbs are in there. So make sure you really take note of where you're eating and what foods work best for you. You probably find that your blood sugar is going up and down, and you're doing everything right, and you're frustrated and you can't stand it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I know. Number one suggestion, make sure you give yourself insulin 15 minutes before you eat. I wish I could underline this. 15 minutes is the minimal time. Once you give yourself through the pump or a shot, you need 15 minutes for that insulin to become active. So if you're eating food and then you're bolusing, well, you're not helping your body. So it's going to make you think about your food. You're going to have to be a little more skillful at planning your meals. 15 minutes before you sit down and enjoy, bolus the amount of carbohydrates that you're going to be consuming in a meal. Blood sugars often will have to be adjusted during the week versus the weekend, and then take it one step further. If you're going on vacation, and there's time zones to be considerate of. Let's not talk about vacation, but right now, if your child's in school, you know that their schedule is more set, and so are their meal times. So you have a better handle on how to regulate their insulin. On the weekends, on the other hand, there's a lot more activities, maybe eating more freely. You're going to have to work probably a little harder at figuring out how to keep your blood sugar managed. It's very helpful if everything seems to be going along normally and in terms of exercise and your diet, and all of a sudden your blood sugar seems like it's doing its own thing. Well, that's diabetes. You can't control it. But these are things that I learned. If my daughter all of a sudden has very high blood sugar, it could mean that she's coming down with a cold. It could mean that there's hormonal surges. It could mean that she's really stressed and the adrenaline affects the blood sugar. One thing that feels amazing is to feel like you can be a great role model for your child. It's a great opportunity, not only for your family, but for you. Eat well, sleep well, take deep breaths. It will rub off. Do what you can. I know it's not easy in the beginning. Do what you can, but it feels amazing to feel like you're on that journey with your child. You're making great food choices, and that you can be a great role model of how to handle obstacles. It's important to know your limits. It's important to know when you need a timeout. And if you feel like you're free falling, know when it's time to pick up the phone and get yourself some, support, some therapy. Most families need it at some point because it's a whole new dynamic and it affects everyone. It's a good thing. Reach out for support, reach out for professional advice if need be. So a lot of this information might feel really intense and overwhelming, and it is in the beginning. Remember, life is not your blood sugar. Life is not diabetes. Diabetes doesn't have to rule you. You must take breaks. You must remember to laugh. You must remember to celebrate life. You must remember to go after the things that you love. Ask for the support that you need. Laugh, hug, cry, scream, be you. It gets better. Hang in there. And please remember to leave your comments. You probably have many more suggestions than I do. Let's help each other. Let's stay together until there's a cure for type 1. My name is Kimberly. Thank you for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe to Universally Read.